What up everyone, Trubu here, and well, anime isn't something I usually watch regularly, or I'm not really big into anime, I'll just be honest. I've seen like JoJo and your gaming adaptations like Pokemon, but that's it. Recently, I've gone back into, and more so, obsessed with, I guess kind of older anime, a couple years, it hasn't been that long, the Quintessential Quintuplets. Yes, I do have the box set of the manga, and it's not my proudest accomplishment, but yeah, it's a problem. But I won't admit to it, so it's not a problem. Anyway, today I'm not only going to be discussing my love of the Quintessential Quintuplets, talk about how I got here, but I'm just going to have a bit of fun. That's it. If you want to see me talk more about things that are not anime, my channel's full of video game stuff, so I recommend subscribing if you want to see some Mario Kart, some Pokemon, whatever the case. If you want to see me talk more about, like, anime I like, I mean, you could just tell me in comment. This might be a one-off, but hey, you never know. Now, before I explain the story of how I got to this point and my general obsession with this franchise, I'm going to go back, explain a bit of the story, how I got to this point, and then what you can all do for me to keep my obsession alive. So let's start with the actual plot. What is the Quintessential Quintuplets? I can't flip this around because the books are facing that way. It's a manga that was originally released back in August 2017 that ran all the way up to 2020 and told the story of the five quintuplets, the Nakano sisters. You have the eldest, well, technically it's like seconds apart because they're quintuplets, Ichika. She is a actor, well, trying to be an actor, and is very much the shady one who's like, I'm nice, but like, she does some not okay things, so she's the worst one. Then there's Nino, the tsundere, who becomes the fan favorite. Miku, the shy and timid one who has a love of warlords. Yotsuba, the athletic one and the dumbest. And then my personal favorite, Itsuki, the food-loving, studious one. But don't let that fool you, they are all idiots. They're all idiots. Can't pass a test for anything. So it's up to our main character, Uesugi Futaro, to tutor them and ensure that they are able to pass high school and move on to college. Along the way, there's some romance involved, and for some reason, he manages to raise up five girls with completely different personalities and tastes in men, and they all fall for the same dude, even though they all start the series not liking him. For crying out loud, the show opens with Nino drugging him. Like, it is wild how far they come as characters, but that's the fun part about this. Now, the premise is actually pretty simple, and it's kind of lost in translation, but the whole thing is this story, they are going to, one of them is going to end up with Futaro. This is more or less a story where the ending already happened, and it's kind of being told to us from the knowledge that there is a bride. One of those five is the girl, so you don't know, but eventually they do end up together. That's the whole point. And it's a loss in translation because it translates to like the five brides or whatever, like if you properly translated it directly from Japanese. Unlike a typical just harem manga or anime, the fun part about this is how much the characters change over time, because a lot of them have very one-note characters due to, I guess, a general oversaturation of the genre, but these characters very much change throughout the series. You get to see a lot of them, and there's a lack of side characters and other characters because it focuses on the quintuplets and the relationship with Futaro, something I really personally like. I guess a hopeless romantic's the term. I really love a good romance story, this fun romance story. Yeah, it's a rom-com. It is a rom-com. That is what I'm holding in my hands. I don't want to explain too much. I want to keep this to a bare minimum surface level. That's your plot summary. You might as well look up a Wikipedia page on it because you'll get a similar result. If you think a fun rom-com of sisters fighting over the same dude slowly, and it builds up, I think there's a lot of strong elements to this. I know it's not necessarily a fan, well, it is very popular, but it's not necessarily for everyone. If you exclude the anime issues that just plague most of manga and anime, then it's still a fun story. You have to look past a few things. It's also, unlike most things, not ecchi. it's not that horny. There's a few scenes, especially if you get to like the movie, or not the movie, the follow up OVA from the anime, then yeah. Speaking of which, the anime series, this is how I first got into it. You can watch it on like Crunchyroll and all that. But it first aired Japanese, of course. I think each season, like the first season, season 2 in the movie, and then like the OVAs, all different studios, which is really funny. But the first season, basically, it's like volumes 1 through 6. Season 2 is volumes, I can't hold it right, like 9 or 7 to 12, or 7 to 11, and then like 12 to 14 is the movie. The OVA features just a few extra arcs that were skipped over in the initial airing. And then there's another OVA which takes place after the events of the show, which is made specifically for the anime, and it does feature an extra bit that was released in Japan only as a short little like manga comic to tie in, featuring them in the future. So there's a lot of just general manga stuff, anime stuff. But if you watch the anime, it's very faithful. I'll give it that. So the story's very similar. There's not many changes. Some more dialogue, really. Some more interaction, animation, of course, but like very faithful. That being said, that is very much when it blew up. Obviously, the anime comes out, gets a lot more attention. It got very much popular from there. You can see all the figures and merchandise if you just look it up. Eventually, it got some games, and we'll get to those in a little bit. But the story was fully told, and it ended with the movie. Then they have that one special OVA, but that's about it. It's a very nice, well put together story. Issues along the way, of course. That's neither here nor there, because that's not what this video is about. Instead, how did I get to this point? How did I get here, and why am I holding a box set of this series? When the anime was first airing in Japanese, because the dub took obviously a couple years, I was first told about it by my friend Red J, the person who's slowly been corrupting me with tons of different anime franchises, and I hate them for it. I can't keep that in, they're great, I love them. But I was introduced to the show, and then I just ended up watching it. I really fell in love with season 1, I thought it was funny, saw season 2, and didn't think about it for a few years. Then, mind you, this obsession starts back in like January, so it's when it's a full gear. So we're gonna skip a couple years. That was like 2018, 2019, I guess, is when season 2 came out. So we're 2025. It's been a while. it's been a while. 2025. And I saw that they were put on Netflix, and it was like, huh, I forgot to ever finish the series and watch the movie. Watch the movie. Damn, it's a good movie. Wow, it's a good movie. Whoo, it's rough. It is. Whoo, it's rough. There are some points where I'm just like, whoo, man. I won't spoil anything, but the confession, man, that is a scene. That is one of these scenes right there. Ooh, that's rough. And then they have a wedding at the end, which is really cute. Didn't get the waterworks going, but man, was it close. And that's when it kind of started. I really liked being able to think about the series again, seeing the whole thing finally conclude properly with the movie, really start everything again. I learned about the OVAs that were released, so I watched those, saw the missing things from the manga, and then I realized, why don't I just read the manga for myself? So I got the box sets. But then things changed. And in February, after I can start consuming all this, another franchise I liked, Konosuba, I knew had a video game that released a while back, and it was on Switch. So I got it on Switch. I was curious, and the Quintessential Quintuplets, in English, have 2 visual novels. 5 Memories Spent With You and Memories of a Quintessential Summer. One of them is just a glorified beach episode, and one of them, which, God, do I love the fact that they did this. The second one, the sequel, tells the story of what happens from the confession to the trip that they take as a group after they graduate. They go on like a graduation trip together. So you get to see the start of his Futuro's relationship with one of the girls, and you get to pick, so you can experience all the alternate timelines that should have existed with all the other girls except Ichika. I refuse to believe they ever get together. I don't want happiness for her. But it doesn't stop there. The content for Quintuplets has really exploded. You know, figures, plushies, games, you name it. In Japan, they have more games. They have another one coming out, I believe, September, which is an AU. It's to my understanding, it's retelling the original story, but they're mages. They have magic. It's an RPG. Listen, I know it sounds crazy, but hey, we're working with what we got. And then there's a third game. There was a third game that God would I kill for. And I can't stress enough. This is what I need you guys to do. I need you guys to buy these games. I need you to support the Quintuplets in America. I need this game localized because it's a problem, but I need the answers. Because to my understanding, this third game takes place between that second game that I mentioned before and the wedding, and it is Futuro's time in Tokyo in his long-distance relationship, and it leads to the proposal. It is the end of his college life and leads to the proposal with the girl of your choosing. And my God, do I need to see that. Do I need to see that for my girl Itsuki? That's what I need. That's why I'm making this video, because I need it. I need it. It's not a problem if I don't admit to it. I need it. But that has led me to here. I've been slowly 100%ing those games over the last couple of months. Slowly, reading these, rereading these, enjoying the story all over again. Seeing clips and listening to the music that was made for the anime. I've really fallen in love with this series. Mind you, I'm not the type to usually have this sort of phase of obsession. Usually it's kind of if I like a franchise, I stick with it, as you can see with all the Pokemon and other merch in the background. I don't really fall off. It's more of a constant flow, or either just don't really care for it. This is a new experience for me to begin with, and the fact that it's anime and manga, something I don't very much consume, so it's very much new territory for me, so I wanted to talk about it, my experience with it. And while I did give brief character summaries, I've been trying to avoid as much spoilers as possible, so I will put a spoiler warning up here now, because I'm going to get into more thick details, more specific points. I left everything kind of vague for the sake of there are some details that are very made clear to you as the audience from the get-go, so I didn't feel bad talking about it, but I'm going to get more specific about the games and story from this point on, talking about my own personal experience and feelings of these characters. So if you don't want to hear that, experience the story blind, which I do recommend, it is really good, then come back at another point. I'm not saying stop watching, just come back at another point. I don't want the views and the time. I'm going to talk about the main character first, and then I want to go over each of the girls individually, and why I keep trash-talking Ichika and throwing shade at her. So our main character, Futuro, he's an interesting character in my opinion. He's very much the main character, the self-insert dude, but unlike a lot of other characters that are clearly here's the dude, this is who you would be in this situation, this is how you would picture yourself, etc., etc. He has a lot more flavor to him and personality, and he's meant to be boring and bland because he grew up, I get a lot of people I've heard complain about his character, and I understand where they're coming from, but story-wise it makes sense. He is this hardened, studious person because of his past with Yotsuba, even though he doesn't really remember it's her, it's the whole thing. But because of his past, that's how he's the way he is. It is fully explained in the show, but people still complain about it, which I think is a little weird, but I do like that. And I like that he is naturally he's smart, and he worked for it, and he keeps working for it. Well, on the other side, you have these girls who are rich. They didn't have to work for what they have. It was more so just given to them. But then they learn from Futuro, who's in another world, but at one point they weren't. Because you learn, and they had a very similar upbringing, really, and it was more so the fact that they're sisters, and then there's Futuro who was alone, and that's the big difference between them, and then they become their own people, unique, and then they finally rekindle It's interesting. It's interesting, their backstories, how they come together, and how they grow up. That being said, I do like Future's interactions with all of the girls. I like how he slowly becomes nicer to them and starts to understand them, and at some point just fully is like, they're my friends. They're not people I'm tutoring. They are fully my friends. And I love, you can slowly see that build. There's especially some parts towards like the middle of the manga where he starts questioning things a bit to himself. He doesn't become obvious about his own feelings. He doesn't start considering it till like the end, of course. But towards the middle, there are some parts where he's like, I'm a bit too harsh. Like it's not brought on by anyone. It's just him thinking to himself, it's like, this is what I need to do for them, because they're my friends. And it's those little wholesome moments that I just love so much. But let's talk about the girls. And we're going to go in, I guess, reverse order, because I want to start with Itsuki. She's going to be my favorite. So, Itsuki, the youngest, has arguably the least amount of screen time. I say arguably because if you watch the actual anime, Yotsuba gets the least amount of screen time, because they skipped her main chapters. Like, completely screwed her over. I think it's so funny in retrospect, because she's the end game. She's the one that he picks. So the fact that they skipped her big portions of the story. But Itsuki, for me, what I find so interesting is how in a harem, she's not really a love interest. You spend 99% of this not really thinking of Itsuki as someone who is kind of in this competition with the others. It is clear the other girls have feelings. It's clear that there's something going on. And while Yotsuba keeps it hidden, you know it's there later on. So in retrospect, you can see that. Itsuki, on the other hand, it's very much last minute, yes, I like you too. But the whole time, they have such a sibling dynamic in the sense that they always have fun little arguments, and they're so playful. The way those two interact. In Itsuki, as a sister, I love her dynamic as well, as she's the youngest, but she looks up to her mom so much, and she wants to kind of fill in that void, even though she was never tasked with it, but she feels like it's her goal, and she just wants her sisters to be happy. She wants to do so much for them, but she falls flat, and it hurts. It hurts to see, and it hurts for her, but she keeps going on, and I love that. I love how she wants to be a teacher. She's not smart, but she wants to try. She's gonna do her best, and I love that so much, because she just struggles so much, like, internally that you don't see. But when you think about it, just conceptually, it's like, yeah, it makes sense. There's so much more depth to Itsuki when you think about it, besides the fact that she's always snacking. And I love the fact that in 99% of panels, she just has food in her mouth. I just think that's funny. I appreciate a character that eats. Because listen, I'm fat. I get it. If eating's fun. So having a character that's constantly munching on something, and the random bits where she's not eating, and they're like, oh, something's wrong, it's good, okay? It's well-written comedy. Next, of course, I did say before, the end game, the one who does end up becoming the wife, which is controversial, but I actually don't mind the pick, Yotsuba. Yotsuba, throughout the original run, like, before you get to, like, the ending and find out her past, honestly, she's whatever. I don't have a strong opinion of her throughout most of it. I like that she was just naturally athletic, and she was just this caring, nice person. Like, she just wanted to help people. And by extent, always helping people seemed to help with sports, because it's like, oh, I need help carrying something. I can do that. There you go, extra training, whatever. Like, I don't know, it feels like it makes sense. Maybe it's me coping. I feel like it just makes sense. Her personality matches with where her skill set shines. But then the reveals. Yotsuba is Reina. Yotsuba has been in love with Futaro since the opening, since that day when she gave him the paper, since the day she read his name. She knew it was him. She never forgot. And the fact that she cared so much about her sisters, she spent the entire series trying to have them be happy, because she didn't know how to be selfish. So she spent the entire time helping each of them get closer to the man. She never forgot Oh my god, the heartache. The absolute heartache. It's... And the thing is, you see Yotsuba after the fact. You see her personality so much where it's like, yeah, she does everything for them. She's always thinking of others first. So the reveal at the end completely fits her character, in my opinion. It's extreme, yes. But does it fit the character and who's doing it? Yes. I do think it's a logical jump. Is it a bit far? Yeah, but I mean, you gotta put a bit of suspension of belief for the sake of storytelling and the fact that it is a manga. So, God knows what's going to be written on these pages. So I will say, I don't mind Yotsuba being endgame, being the girl. I'm completely okay with that choice, and out of everything, she's the one who had a consistently good relationship with Futaro. Like, throughout the entire run. Quite literally, if he's gonna pick any of the 5, he's had some form of conflict with each of them. Except Yotsuba. So why wouldn't he be picking Yotsuba? That's the easy option right there, so like it makes sense. But now we get to the others. The other 3. The ones who have a lot more spotlight and attention put on them because they're a lot more open with their emotions throughout the run. First, we have Miku. Well, I struggle to see if Nino or Miku's more popular because it seems they're both like in a tie. I believe Nino is the most popular, but Miku's up there. She's interesting. I like that, physically speaking, unlike the others who all have... They play on the whole quintuplets thing of, like, they're similar builds. Obviously, Yotsuba's more athletic, but they all have some form of physical prowess. Then Miku is just like Futaro in that regard. I love how she is very much shy and timid, but slowly opens up, and by the end, very much has a level of confidence you would not see at the beginning. Like, it is just good character growth. And the fact that she relates so much to Futaro in so many ways that they are easily able to be close, but at the same time, she still has so many just internal and personal conflicts that it leads to her own struggles. It's very much a relatable human thing. And I really like that about her character, but maybe it's just because I like the more fiery, stronger personalities, because again, I'm trying to sit here and just enjoy a fictitious scenario, so seeing someone that's just relatable, I'm like, I want to see the insane. That's where Nino comes in. Yeah, what a segue. So Nino is our tsundere, the stereotypical tsundere. She has the most drastic character growth throughout the series, starting off as... God, like, there's not a single word I can use to describe it that wouldn't get me, like, demonetized. Like, genuinely. God, she sucked. Long-haired Nino sucks. And, like, anyone who says she was a good character at that point, you're just wrong. Again, literally drugged Futaro twice. Twice! A lot of people forget that. When she was staying at the hotel because she was mad at Itsuki for hitting her, she drugged Futaro a second time. It wasn't a one-time occurrence. Like, a lot of people forget that. It was twice. God, she was just really, like, aggressive. Like, her tsundere full was, like, level 100. But eventually, after she saw how far Futaro was gonna go, she cut her hair. You know, girl boss, had a character arc, because she cut her hair. Then she became, you know, she's a good character now. The fact that she went from being so aggressive to aggressively, like, affectionate. I thought it was such a fun switch of the character because it fits with her personality, but it's still a fun way of creating the general conflicts of the romance. And the fact that she is so assertive and she's like, I'm going to take charge and show you that I'm not this crazy chick. I'm going to make you fall in love with me. She was so like, I'm doing this. This is what I want. I was like, honestly, at some point I just have to respect it. As the reader, I just had to respect it. It's like, you know what? She is passionate, and I respect that. But yeah, she has the best comedy scenes in my opinion. She probably is the one who's made me laugh the most out of everyone. Like, again, it's more so the fact that she's a tsundere. That is her character. She is the tsundere, but she grows so much, and especially if you watch, because I think she's the one. There's the post-series OVA that takes place during their honeymoon, because all the sisters go together. Nino's probably the best written in the OVA because she's the most matured, and I just think she's the probably most developed character, because she has a lot of focus put on her towards the later end, especially with Futuro. So I really like that. There's only so much I can say before I have to move on to her Ichika. Ichika. At first, I thought she was an interesting character. She was trying to be the big sister, and she definitely fit into that archetype, that character. But, ooh, man, do they make her so unlikable. Oh my god. So the first, like, half of the manga, Ichika, great. I think she's a fun character. Some well-written scenes. I love that she doesn't want to hurt her sisters, but she wants to pursue her own dreams. She's trying to be an actress, and she's doing a good job at it. She finds a lot of struggle, but it's personal, and I like that. Then she decides to become scum, and she starts doing the most diabolical stuff. Oh my god! She's like, yeah, let me dress up as Miku and ruin her confession so I could be a Futuro. Let me lie to Futuro. Let me this or that. And it's like, oh my god. Not only are you fully betraying your sisters, your close sisters, like they are so close as family, and she is fully backstabbing them for a dude. But like, oh my god, the fact that she is an actress, which is revealed much earlier, and like you see that much earlier. So when it comes to lying and all that, then at some point you have to go back and question, like, was Ichika ever being honest? Was she ever? Like, she's the psychological warfare of the of the series, and it's fun for someone like me who likes overanalyzing, thinking about this stuff. But in general, I have so many choice words to describe her. None of them positive. None of them positive. But I'm not the only one with this sentiment, because to my understanding, the majority of the fan base puts Ichika bottom of the list. If there's a tier list of the 5 girls, Ichika always at the bottom. And I think it's funny. You know, can't agree on the best, can always agree on the worst. That being said, I've kind of said my opinions on all of them, so let me give a quick tier list, because I like interaction farming, and making a waifu tier list and saying which girls I like more than others, yeah, that's gonna stir up some comments. So, bottom of the barrel, Ichika. Shocker. I don't think it's that crazy to say that the one I've been dissing throughout this entire video is my least favorite. Next up, Miku. I like her, but it's just, I'm not fans of the shy, timid type. Like, just, even though by the end she's different, just, I don't care for that kind of character. That's just a personal thing. Yotsuba, it's, again, she lacked a lot of that opening charm, but overall, I still liked her character, and I don't have any real negatives besides that, and her whole, like, the heartbreaking at the end and her emotional struggle, yeah, it was really good. Nino has definitely grown on me. While she is the tsundere, I'm not necessarily a fan of tsunderes, but as someone who's trying to enjoy a rom-com, and she's the one who provides the most comedy in my opinion, yeah, she's high up there. And of course, Itsuki. I already said my spiel, but my god, do I love Itsuki. She's great. And that's the Quintessential Quintuplets. By the way, do I love the box art. Like, they have these cute little drawings, and if you pose you right, you get all the girls together. Here, let me get the others. Look at that. Come on. It looks nice. I like it. And the footage you've been seeing has been coming from the video games, because, again, love the visual novels. Anyway, I want to thank you all so much for watching, just letting me rant, because I've truly fallen in love with this franchise. If anyone asks what's my favorite anime, I'm saying the Quintessential Quintuplets. If you say my anime film or movie, I'm saying Your Name. And if you want to see me gush about Your Name, that's a separate topic, and that's actually just a rant video. That is just me sitting on a mic complaining about why I hate comments. Truly, this series holds such a soft spot in my heart now, and I can't stress enough how much I love it. And if you want to see me talk about it more, I guess I also can do that. I don't mind. But I'm going to leave it all there, and wish you all a lovely day.